Okay, folks, Rich Van Tassel back with you, continuing on with our Week 2 game picks. And of course, we are recording audio for Get Live Radio. Next game up, the Philadelphia Eagles at 1 0. 1 0 on the road, travel to Kansas City to play the Chiefs, who are 1 0. They have yet to play a home game. Injuries first for the visiting Eagles. Caleb Sturgis, place kicker. Donald Pumphrey, running back, are both on IR, so they are out. Keep an eye on that kicker injury. That can be significant. Destiny Vallejo, a defensive tackle, is out. Corey Graham, the safety, is questionable. For the Kansas City Chiefs, Ron Parker, safety, questionable. Kevin Pierre-Louis, linebacker, questionable. Reggie Ragland, linebacker, doubtful. Parker Enger, a guard, is doubtful. And of course, we know that Eric Berry is on injury reserve with the Achilles injury. So you have some injuries in the secondary for Kansas City. Will Carson Wentz be able to take advantage of that? He played pretty well against what's a good Washington secondary last week. Of course, you have the Josh Normans and the Bashad Breelands on the team, so give him credit for that. He's got a banged-up secondary. Can he take advantage? You do have Marcus Peters, though, still the cornerback for the Chiefs. Look for him to be shadowing Alshon Jeffrey, and look for Marcus Peters to get the better of that matchup, as I expect Marcus Peters to get the better of most matchups. He did pretty well against Brandon Cooks in the season opener. Kansas City was, of course, very impressive in that game. Will they let Alex Smith continue to go downfield, take more chances, and do those sorts of things? I've always said I think Alex Smith can play. Once he finally had his head coach be his offensive coordinator, so there was no changes in San Francisco with Jim Harbaugh, he played well. Of course, there was the injury, then Kaepernick came in. He's come to Kansas City. Andy Reid has been the head coach. It's been his offense the whole time. And lo and behold, Alex Smith has played very well. He's gotten a bad rap for early on in his career where he had different coordinators all the time. Tyreek Hill is dangerous in the receiving game. Let's keep an eye on that. Of course, you had Kareem Hunt, who played very well running the ball and receiving last week. 17 carries, 148 yards, and a touchdown last week. LeGarrette Blount was not very impressive for the Eagles, only 46 yards on 14 carries. That's less than 4 yards per carry. Kansas City is going to look to establish themselves with the running game. I would assume now that they have Kareem Hunt. It was a lot of questions how they were going to replace Jamal Charles. He played well. Look for them to establish that, try to wear down the Eagles, and then take advantage with some passes to Alex Smith. They can, keep it easy, keep it simple for him early, but at some point you got to turn him loose, and that's what they did when they played the New England Patriots, and it worked out for him. Andy Reid is very good off of a bye week. I know this is not a bye week, but you did have the extended time because Kansas City played last Thursday in the season opener, so that's 10 days off. Let's see if Kansas City can take advantage of that. Of course, Doug Peterson played for Andy Reid as a quarterback and then coached under Andy Reid, so he probably knows what's going on, what the Eagles are going to try to do, and when you give Andy Reid that sort of advantage in the game planning, he's usually going to take advantage of it, and I would expect the same in this game as Kansas City gets off to a 2-0 start. I like 28-23. I don't think Philadelphia will get the touchdowns when they need to get touchdowns, and that will be the difference in this one as Kansas City gets the victory. Next up, the New England Patriots 0-1. Travel to New Orleans, play the Saints, who are also 0-1. The Patriots have not played a road game, and the Saints have not played a home game. Injuries for the visiting Patriots. Danny Amendola, wide receiver. Vincent Valentine, defensive tackle. Dante Hightower, linebacker. Matthew Slater, wide receiver, are out. Devin McCourty, safety, is questionable. For the New Orleans Saints, Zach Strief, offensive tackle. Terron Armstead, offensive tackle, are out. So you have the two tackles for the New Orleans Saints are out in this game. Stephon Anthony, linebacker. Trey Hendrickson, defensive end. Nathan Stubar, linebacker, are all questionable. New England's defense was not good at all against the Kansas City Chiefs. They've got a tough offense in the New Orleans Saints in this game. So let's see if their defense can pick it up. They do have those injuries in the defense with Dante Hightower, the best linebacker, Vincent Valentine, the defensive tackle, and those are out. And Devin McCourty, a safety, is questionable. New Orleans, without those tackles, I'd like to see what their offense can do. How much time can they give Drew Brees? Will he be able to take advantage? That's certainly a situation we have not really seen much of. We've seen Drew Brees put up these very prolific numbers, but it hasn't been a situation where he's had those question marks on the offensive line. So we got to keep an eye on that. Adrian Peterson, will they get him more involved? I've made it clear I don't think Adrian Peterson has much left. They showed it last week. I would assume, though, with the money he's getting paid, they're going to make a concerted effort to try to get him more involved in the offense, because even as bad as he was last week, he was still their top rusher. 6 carries, 18 yards. So look for him to get going and try to get established in the running game, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think New England is chomping at the bit after those 10 days off, that tough loss to open the season as the defending Super Bowl champions. Tom Brady was not very good, 16-36, 267 yards. I look for him to dissect this New Orleans Saints defense, which is improved with guys like Marshawn Lattimore they drafted, but that is still a rookie going against Tom Brady. Even without Amendola, I just see Brady finding a way. Look for Deion Lewis to pick up a lot of the slack out of the backfield in the slot, and New England able to come away with a comfortable victory in this one. I like 31-14, and that's surprising that I have New Orleans that low, but I don't like that tackle situation with both of them being out. Next up, the Tennessee Titans, 0-1, travel to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars, who are 1-0. Neither team has played the respective away game, Tennessee being on the road or Jacksonville at home. Injuries first for the visiting Tennessee Titans. Sorry, folks, got some computer issues right now. Let's get that back up for you. Having some internet connection problems. I don't know what the issue is. Sorry about this. Don't they know I'm trying to do a video, you know? Alright, sorry about that. The injuries for the visiting Tennessee Titans: Jonathan Cyprien, safety; Ty Smith, cornerback, out. LaShawn Sims, a cornerback, is questionable. For the Jaguars, D.D. Westbrook, wide receiver; Allen Robinson, wide receiver, are on IR, so they're out. Calvin Pryor, the third safety, is out. Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback, questionable. So both teams have injuries in the secondary. Will Jacksonville try to turn Blake Bortles loose and get some yards downfield? He doesn't have the receivers. Tennessee doesn't have the secondary. So injuries both ways make this very interesting. Big game for the Tennessee Titans. I have high expectations for them this season. They need Marcus Mariota to come along in this game, pick things up. They got to get DeMarco Murray more involved. Only 44 yards on 12 carries last week. Leonard Fournette played well. I would expect another heavy dose of him. He's got a good defensive line again, but Houston had a good defensive line that he did well against last week. But it was 100 yards on 26 carries, so less than 4 yards per carry. Delaney Walker, of course, is going to be Marcus Mariota's favorite target. Tennessee got to establish the run. They're going to find a way. I think Blake Bortles is going to make the mistakes, and Tennessee comes away with the victory in this game. I like it 28-20 in favor of the Titans over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Alright, next up, the Minnesota Vikings at 1-0 travel to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, who are also 1-0. Injuries for the visiting Vikings, all listed as questionable. Sam Bradford, the quarterback, reading an article, there are some concerns about that injury to the knee. Anthony Barr, linebacker; Xavier Rhodes, cornerback. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, Vance McDonald, tight end; Stephon Tuitt, defensive end; J.J. Wilcox, safety, are all questionable. Gerald Hawkins, the offensive tackle, is out. Sam Bradford played very well last week. 27 of 32, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns. You don't usually see the yardage with Sam Bradford. He does have a very high completion percentage, and he showed it last week, but he doesn't often go downfield. Last week, he was able to do so. Pittsburgh's secondary, while improved with Joe Hayden, had its question marks last week. They played the Cleveland Browns with a rookie quarterback and let him play pretty well, so I still have my concerns about the Pittsburgh secondary. Let's see if Minnesota tries to take advantage of that and go downfield, even with a hobbled Sam Bradford. Le'Veon Bell has got to be better for the Pittsburgh Steelers, only 32 yards on 10 carries last week. Of course, Antonio Brown picked up the slack. Look for Xavier Rhodes to be on Antonio Brown. I expect questionables to go, which Xavier Rhodes is. That injury could be an issue, and Antonio Brown is a little bit of a smaller guy and more of a speed guy. Xavier Rhodes is one of those bigger cornerbacks So that's a situation where the speed guy I tend to give the advantage to. Maybe a guy like Trey Waynes, Terrence Newman at times might be on Antonio Brown to match speed for speed. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But look for the Pittsburgh Steelers to try to go downfield. I expect Le'Veon Bell to snap out of it. Minnesota does have a good defensive line, but they need Le'Veon Bell to play well in this game. I think he's going to wake up from last week. Pittsburgh is going to run the ball. Pittsburgh at home. Antonio Brown takes advantage of an injured Xavier Rhodes, who it might not even be the best matchup for an Antonio Brown to begin with. And Le'Veon Bell snaps out of it. Pittsburgh Steelers get the victory 31-20. Minnesota will score some points in this game, just not enough. Alright, so we will be back in a little bit, and we will finish up with the game picks for Week 2 of the NFL season. Again, sorry for the delay in the middle. Be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you.